Do you ever wish you just had a little pouch just to keep all your things in so you could keep things neat and organized specifically by your project? Well, today I've got a free tutorial. I'm going to show you how to make this adorable project pouch, and you can make it any size that you need. So what you're going to need to get started is a zipper, 10 inches in length. I'm using Zipper by the Yard. You can use a standard zipper if you prefer. Now, the width of your zipper is going to make a difference in the overall size of your project, especially when you go from the front side, which has the zipper, to the back side, which has no zipper. So you may have to make some adjustments based on the width of your zipper. Okay, keep that in mind. I'm using some double-sided adhesive tape. This is, the brand is by Annie, and this is 1/8 of an inch wide, but this is great double stick adhesive. I've got my 2 pieces of vinyl here. These are both cut 6.5 by 10, and then my 2 pieces of wax canvas. The back side is 3.5 by 10, and the front side is 2.5 by 10 to accommodate for the zipper. Okay, so to get started, we're going to build the front first. So I'm going to take these 2 pieces for the back, and I'm just going to set them aside. And then we've got our front pieces. So you've got the vinyl, the wax canvas, and your zipper. So first thing I want to do is get the zipper pull onto my zipper. Now you can try and just do it this way. And sometimes this can be a struggle, and I think the quality of your zipper tape greatly affects how easy your pull will go on. Sometimes I can pull them on myself, but I can see right away I've got a weird bubble and they don't line up here, and I don't like that. So here are some things that I do to help get that zipper on. First things, trim off these fuzzies, okay? Just go ahead, trim those off. And then use a little bit of a flame to melt that nylon. You don't need much, and you can see it just kind of melted. Now, my little zipper teeth bent up. I'm going to use a non-fabric scissors to trim those off, just because they might get in the way. Now, this is a nylon zipper. This is not metal. Okay. So we're going to try this again with just my hands. Now, this isn't the easiest way to put on a zipper pull. I prefer to use a zipper jig, but you might not have a zipper jig, so I just want to show you how you can do this. That went on pretty good. Now, my bottom isn't quite even, but it's even enough. So what I like to do is unzip this all the way to the end, which makes the bubble that you're getting there go away. So now it will zip nice and evenly, and I'm going to clean up these ends as well and just trim off the excess and just melt that zipper tape ever so slightly, just to keep it from fraying further. You can do this one of 2 ways. And again, this is personal preference. And a lot of times these things are personal preference. So do whatever works best for you. But when you're putting on the zipper tape, sometimes people like to put the zipper pull on afterwards, and some people prefer to put it on first. There's no right or wrong. But just know, if you sew everything together and then add the zipper pull, not the whole pouch, but this first layer, it has to go on even, or it's not going to line up right. That's why I like to put the zipper pull on first. So then what I'm going to do, you want to add the wax canvas to the top of the zipper. So we're going to start with that. That's why I like to use the By Annie's tape, because with wax canvas, you cannot pin that. You can clip it, but I prefer to just use the tape for something like this. I think it just lines up so much nicer, and it just stays. Nothing is going to move on you. So you literally just add the tape to your zipper like that, and then pull off the paper. Make sure the tape is sticking and you're not pulling off the tape. Okay, so there we've got the 2 layers are separated. Pull off that. And then we're going to lay these right sides together. Now, wax canvas, there's no right or wrong, but put the 2 nicest sides together where you want to stitch right along the edge of that zipper. And this is where sometimes it's nice to do this without the zipper pull, but just make sure your edges stay lined up. And this tape is where that's really helpful. Okay. Okay, and then we're going to go to our sewing machine and we're going to stitch this down the side and then open it up. All right, so I'm just lining up the edge of my fabric with the edge of my presser foot. I'm using 1/4 inch presser foot for this. You can use a zipper foot if that helps, depending on the width of your zipper. I also always pull the zipper pull out of my way. Don't try to sew past that because it's just gonna cause issues. It's not gonna move. What's gonna move is your needle and your stitching, and it won't be straight. So move it out of your way. And then just stitch it along this top edge. And then when you're all done, make sure you back stitch at the end. And then you're just going to fold this open and we're going to top stitch along that edge. And I love with wax canvas, you just run your finger along and finger press that seam. You don't want to use an iron on wax canvas because it's really wax on there, it'll melt it. So then go ahead and top stitch. I did adjust my stitch length to about a 4 here just because I like my top stitching to be a little further apart. It's just really more decorative than anything. Okay, so now we are going to do the same thing with our By Annie's double-sided tape. We're going to run that along the other edge of the zipper so that we can attach our vinyl. You don't need the tape, but it is very, very helpful. I find my projects turn out better when I use the tape consistently because it's hard to clip this in a way that makes it stay along that edge. So go ahead and peel that paper back off. Again, make sure you're making sure that tape sticks and just pulling off the paper. And now we are going to stick our vinyl to that edge of the zipper so that when we sew, the vinyl stays where you want it because it's like slippery, but it also kind of wants to stick to your machine. So you want to make sure you stick that down so it's not going to move so that you sew nice and straight. And it might be helpful for you to use a Teflon presser foot when sewing on the vinyl because if you do have a metal presser foot, it may have a tendency to stick. So I'm using a walking foot actually. I find that this works great when I'm sewing on the vinyl. If you don't have a Teflon presser foot, you can put masking tape on the bottom or you can use tissue paper as a layer in between to help. But I'm just going to top stitch this right along that top edge of the zipper. Make sure you get that pull again out of your way. You don't want to run it over. You also don't want to try to sew past it. Just move it and then continue stitching until you're done with that edge. The next thing you're going to do is you're going to add your wax canvas to the piece for the back side as well. Then make sure your front and your back are the same size. You may have to trim off something here if they're not because of the width of your zipper. So make sure everything is the same size, trim it. And now we're going to put the pieces right sides together and we're going to pin all the way around the outside edge. Now, one really important thing here is that your zipper is open at least halfway. So you want to clip it closed where the teeth are open there, but you want to make sure your zipper is open when you're sewing because that's how you're going to turn this project right side out. You're going to sew all the way around the edge. So what I'm doing here is I'm just making sure that my edges and everything is lining up, and then I'm going to push that zipper open. You want to leave it open just a little bit here to be able to get your finger in there and push it backwards a little bit more. So just take your time, make sure all your edges are lining up nicely, clip all the way around. Remember, you don't want to use pins in the vinyl or in the wax canvas because those holes will stay there. So I always make sure to use clips. Make sure everything is laying nice and flat. You don't have any weird bubbles or anything, and open up that zipper before you sew. All right, now we're going to sew. Again, I'm using the walking foot because it moves so nicely on the wax canvas and on the vinyl itself. So I'm going to sew using 1/4 inch seam allowance all the way around the perimeter of this pouch. When you get to the end, just leave your needle in the down position, lift up your presser foot and pivot down towards the other side. And if you're using a nylon zipper like I am here, you can sew right over those zipper teeth. You cannot if you're using a metal zipper. I don't even know if they really sell metal zippers anymore. I never even see them. I always use nylon zippers. So continue sewing all the way around, again, leaving that needle down and pivoting your fabric, your vinyl, and sewing straight along the edge until you've gone all the way around. Now, when you get to that end, make sure you backstitch again. You always want to backstitch at the beginning and the end to lock down those stitches. So now I'm going to clip off the corners just to remove some of that excess. Do not clip into the stitching though. That's very, very important. So just clip off those extra corners. Now we're going to turn it right side out. And this part might be a little bit tricky because the vinyl is stiff and sticky. Now, just work at it. Now, one thing you can do is you can warm up the vinyl by using your iron on your ironing board and then putting the vinyl on the warm ironing board. Don't iron the vinyl, but that will help warm it up and make it a little bit more pliable. I'm just working through it. I'm just pushing out the corners with my fingers. Now these little tools that you can see off to the side here, those are just some leather making tools that I happen to have, not leather making, but like leather bag making. And they're strong and they're sturdy. And I'm going to use the one that has the little ball end to kind of help push out those corners because they're stiff. They don't want to really move. The wax canvas moves really easily, but that vinyl gets a little bulky in the corners. So just keep working at it and use your thumb, your fingers to turn out those corners so you have nice points, and just work at it until it lays nice and flat. All right, once you work at it a little bit, it should lay nice and flat. I have this rolling wood tool. I think I picked it up at a craft show, but it helps to press down those edges because you can't iron this. But that's all there is to it. So here's our finished pouch. It's so cute. I love that it's clear so that you can see what project is in here, and it's easy to just grab it and go, and you can put so many different things in there. I'm going to put my half square triangle stuff in here. I've got my ruler, my pins just in case I need them, my rotary cutter, a pen, scissors, and anything else I think I might need to finish up this project. It all fits neatly in there, and then you can see what's inside. The other great thing with this project is you can make this any size you want it to be. Have fun with this. I can't wait to see what you make. So go get some clear vinyl, some wax canvas, and let's make some pouches.